every limb. Heart of metal, won't let dim. Freedom binds this machine code.